Hey guys, Telegram Sam here. If you don't already know, I just recently started an Instagram. It is telegram_Sam_vinyl. I've been posting daily about records and music and just stuff I've been listening to. So if you're interested and you have an Instagram, go check it out. But today's video is going to be another recent vinyl pickups. I got a pretty good stack with a lot of different stuff in it. So let's get to it. First off, we got Mott the Hoople's MOTT. This came out in 1973. This is an original U.S. press. Mott the Hoople, classic, British glam rock, a la, Sweet, T-Rex. This particular album has the song All the Way from Memphis, which was like a big crossover hit in Europe, Britain, and the U.S. But yeah, just classic, awesome 70s glam rock. It just came on black vinyl with a red Columbia label. Nothing too fancy there. And then next, I finally got all three of the original Stooges studio albums. I am so excited. I know they released two albums in the 2000s, but to me the first three are like the best and the most important. And this is Funhouse by the Stooges. This originally came out in 1970, but this is a 2010 US reissue. I mean, it is just so killer. It has this awesome gatefold of the guys lounging around there. I think I said in a previous video of mine that I thought this was, out of the first three Stooges albums, my least favorite. But I don't know, I think this is probably like the in-betweener for me. I think this is number two. Raw Power will always be number one for me. But yeah, I just listening to this again recently reminded me just how great this album is. I mean, it has Down on the Street, Loose, TVI, Dirt, Funhouse, 1970. I mean, this is just perfect. But I didn't realize that Don Gallucci, who was the keyboardist of the Kingsmen, who famously did the song Louie Louie, produced this. And how when he first was introduced to them, he saw them live once he kind of signed on to produce this band he didn't really know anything about. He went and saw them live and of course was blown away by their live performance and really wanted to capture that same raw energy of their performances in this album. So when they went into the studio, they literally stripped all of the gear out of the studio and they kind of rearranged the band into like how they would perform. So yeah, you can definitely hear the rawness on this album. And this just came on black vinyl and it's on 180 gram with, this replica of the old school Electra label with the butterfly on it. And I've been looking for anything by this band for such a long time, and I finally got the Meters self-titled album. This originally came out in 1969, and this issue I think is a late 90s US reissue. But yeah, this is just a classic funk, soul, instrumental band, kind of like a la like Booker T and the MGs. They're kind of seen as like the forefathers of funk music, especially George Porter Jr.'s like heavy bass sound throughout a lot of the Meters albums. I mean, he's just the king of funk bass. But yeah, a lot of people may not know the Meters, but they probably know the song Sissy Strut, which was used in like a lot of movies in the 70s and later on in the 90s and stuff. So this is a killer proto-funk soul instrumental album. And this just came on black vinyl as well, on a heavy 180 gram vinyl with the Reproduction Josie label. And then next we got another Neil Young live album. I don't know what it is with Neil Young and his live albums. I literally only have Neil Young live albums. I don't have any of his studio albums. I just love him. He's just one of those artists that just always puts on a killer live show. But yeah, this is Neil Young, Time Fades Away. This is an original 1973 US press. I mean, this is just so great. So this was recorded in various cities, and a lot of these songs are unreleased material. But this was recorded during the tour for Harvest, and also David Crosby and Graham Nash kind of make appearances in it because towards the end of the tour, Neil Young got a throat infection due to like his hoarse way of singing and drinking a lot of alcohol, so his vocals were pretty blown by the last leg of the tour. So David Crosby and Graham Nash kind of came on to like help him out with singing and guitar. So but yeah, this is again killer Neil Young. I'm never disappointed by anything Neil Young releases. And this just came on black vinyl with the Reprise label, classic Reprise label. Then next, I'm usually not one for electronic music, but I've just been really fascinated by early electronic music. This is Moog, the Electric Eclectics of Dick Hyman. This is the original 1969 US press. So Dick Hyman was sort of a famous piano player and composer, and he became really fascinated by the invention of the Moog synthesizer, and I think this is one of the first albums that is fully composed of just Moog synthesizer compositions. So it's just really fascinating and interesting, and it comes out this really cool gatefold kind of explaining Moog synthesizers, how they work, and it's sort of interesting how Dick Hyman was sort of predicting how they would become this really big thing in the music industry. And this actually features the first top 40 hit single just to feature a Moog synthesizer, which is the Minotaur. So that's really cool. And plus it's just really cool and interesting piece of like music history to have. So it just came on this black vinyl and this Command gray ABC label. And then next we got Game of Love by Wayne Fontana and the Mindbenders. This is an original 1965 US press. This is sort of like kind of a copycat Beatles. This came out right around the time of the UK invasion, and like a lot of things that have happened, like you had the Beatles and then you had all these other copycat bands like the Beatles, and you had the same thing with like grunge and the Seattle 90s scene, and the same thing with the heavy metal glam rock scene of the Sunset Strip. One band would kind of become big, and then all of a sudden labels would want that same sort of cash grab and just find anyone that could sing or hold an instrument that sort of resembled the music at that time. And Wayne Fontana and the Mindbenders were definitely part of that. They did have a #1 hit single with The Game of Love, which is a really great song, but there's nothing really memorable or great about this album. This is just like a $3 album that I bought, but it's just cool to have, and plus can't go wrong with like early garage bands. But yeah, actually they weren't even around for that long, because Wayne Fontana was kind of like over the whole one-hit wonder sort of thing they had with Game of Love, and literally left during the middle of a concert not long after that song was released, because he was just so frustrated that they just couldn't get another hit. And then the Mindbenders continued on as a trio, and they even opened up for James Brown in the late 60s, which is pretty cool. But yeah. And this just came on the blue Fontana label, black vinyl. And this next album I am so excited about. This is The History by Cradle. This came out last year actually, but this originally only came out on CD in 2010, and then I guess this label Modern Harmonic, who mainly focuses on lost all-female bands from the 60s and 70s, put this out on vinyl, and it is just so kick-ass. But yeah, this is a hard blues, psych, band from Detroit that was all females. It even features Susie Quattro here and a couple of her sisters. And her sister Patty eventually went on after this band sort of split up to be a part of the band Fanny, which is considered the first major U.S. all-female band to become like a hit. But yeah, the Cradle was originally the Pleasure Keepers in the early mid-60s, kind of doing, you know, that mod garage pop thing. And then they kind of changed gears and changed themselves into Cradle and took on the darker hard rock sound that was really popular during the late 60s, early 70s. And they, because, you know, they're a Detroit-based band, they caught the attention of the MC5 and the Stooges and played with them a lot around Detroit. They didn't have a long career. They kind of had a lot of, like, roundabouts with labels, because labels really loved their sound and loved what they were doing and saw, you know, the comparisons to MC5 and the Stooges, which was making a lot of money at that time. But, you know, they're women, and the label wouldn't sign them because of that. And then later on, Susie Quattro went to, you know, have her career, and her sister went on to go into Fanny. But, I mean, this is just so great. It has the gatefold kind of explaining their story. But yeah, they never really released an album. They just had a lot of these recordings, live recordings and studio recordings that are on this album that eventually they found, and an independent label released the CD, and it kind of became this cult thing, and now it's finally on vinyl. So I feel really glad and happy to have this. And it came on this really cool deep purple vinyl. There's 2 LPs in this set, and they're cut at 45 RPM, and it just sounds so amazing, and it just blew my mind listening to this. Yeah, they definitely should have been as big as the MC5 and the Stooges, but sadly that wasn't their reality. And this next album is Madvillain by Madvillain. This originally came out in 2004. This is a 2021 US reissue. I mean, this is just such a classic hip-hop rap album. Madvillain is made up of producer Madlib and rapper MF Doom, R.I.P. homie. But yeah, this actually took a really long time to make. This took them 2 years to make due to their conflicting schedules. And plus, halfway through recording, it was leaked, and MF Doom went back and changed all of his verses. And I guess in the original release, he was rapping like really, really fast, and it didn't really match well with Madlib's kind of slower production and songs. So when he went back, he decided to do his rapping kind of more slower, so it mixed well with Madlib's beats and stuff. And a lot of people say that they're glad that he went back and redid it, because this version sounds a lot better than the leaked version. But yeah, this has become one of my new favorite hip-hop and rap albums in my collection. I've just been listening to this non-stop. It's so good. You know, this album was really hyped up for a while. Especially after MF Doom's death. This picture was circling around, and there's a lot of resurgence of this album, and it definitely deserves all the hype. And it just came on this black vinyl, this black label, nothing too crazy. And last but not least, this was actually a recommendation I got from Ryan Kidd. This is Tough Dart's self-titled album. This is the original 1978 US press. I showed a Robert Gordon Link Ray album in one of my last vinyl pickups videos from a while ago, and Ryan Kidd was like, hey, since you like Robert Gordon, you should check out the original band he was in before he went solo, Tough Darts. And, you know, anytime any of you guys recommend stuff to me, I will always, like, log it in my head, and if I see it at the record store, I'll always get it, because I trust you guys. I imagine you have probably good taste. But yeah, I saw this for super cheap at the record store, and I got it. But yeah, classic New York, mid-late 70s punk rock. The Tough Darts were actually one of the first bands to really play at CBGB's. And yeah, Robert Gordon was in it. for a while when they were just sort of playing live, and then ended up leaving and doing his solo thing. And then Tommy Frenzy ended up replacing him, and he's on this album. This is their first album. Haven't listened to it yet, so I can't really say if it's good or worth the hype or not, but I'm excited to listen to it. It just came on this black vinyl with the Sire Yellow label. And yeah, that's all for the stuff I got this week. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.